Hello, welcome to RhomanysRealm. I'm Romany and it's Witchy Wednesday, so we're doing a quick live drawing session for you. I thought we could look at drawing some tools, and we're starting off with a very basic tool. We're going to start with an Athame because that's nice and easy. It's basically a very short knife. So, pencils and pens and whatever at the ready. Here we go. Now I just had a failed stream, so we've started here, so I'm going to show you how to do that again, and then we'll come back to this one. So let's move this out of the way. Everything's too close now because I moved my camera. So you can use a ruler or not, up to you. I'm going to start with a line. Doesn't matter how big a line, just a line. We're going to divide that line roughly in half. We're going to divide what's left of it roughly into 2/3 and 1/3. And we're just going to mark the halfway point on there as well. Okay? Now we're also going to draw a line on either side. Doesn't have to be straight, as long as it's reasonably okay. Right, we want this to look like a sketch. We don't want it to look like we drew it with a ruler. It's Mand again. Is Tracy back? Let me just check, see if she's... I have to give her mod status. Oh, Tracy's not back yet. Tracy might be having trouble logging in. That happens sometimes. She's messaging me right now, so she might be about to say, oh, I can't log in. Alright, so have we got that far? Oh, it's better on Ustream, she says, so apparently she is logged in, I just can't see her. Right, if you want to, with your ruler, draw a perpendicular line, not a parallel line, perpendicular line, so 90 degrees, doesn't have to be exact. If you don't have a ruler, you're not sure, draw yourself a little square on either side, and that's 90 degrees, okay? Come out from either side. But again, doesn't have to be exact. Your Athame could be made of wood, leather, whatever. I'm going to do the same down here. Actually, it might be a little bit too long, so you want this bit to be very roughly double this. Doesn't have to be exact, like I say, but move that centre point. Now roughly you want this and this to be about the same, okay? That's how a needlepoint blade is balanced. So we're going to draw a line at that end and draw a triangle that is roughly twice as high as it is wide. What's that? Scalene? Isosceles? I don't know. The one that looks like that. Okay. And we're going to draw another one down here from this centre point to that point there. And that is why that looked too wide, because that line is in the wrong place, not this one. Belay that, belay that. Doesn't matter, it's a sketch. Put in some more lines. So what we've already got here is there, the shape of the blade. And what we've already got here is the shape of the handle. Okay, and that, she says, I am here, I've been here all the time, since the beginning. I can't see you, Tracy, I'm sorry, I can't mod you because I can't see you. So this is where we were at earlier. So here's our blade. And our crossbar. And the bit we hold in our palm. Alright? Now to balance this out, what we're going to do is take roughly half of this width. Very roughly, it doesn't have to be exact. But guesstimate it, so that's what, about an inch and a bit on mine, I think. And we're going to make that length there. Now if you were actually making a sword, or an athame rather, this would be fairly exact measurements. Because it should balance exactly. If you put your finger on that point there, like that, it should balance exactly. Okay? And this will be the outer edges of the wings. And then this, we've already got the end. But to balance the weight of the blade, which would be multiple layers of folded steel, this would have a counterweight, depending on what this is. Because if this is made of wood and leather, it's not going to weigh as much as if this is all steel with leather wrapped around it. That's going to weigh more. So your counterweight at the end is going to be what makes it balance. So in general, the lighter whatever the material is that your handle is made of, the bigger your counterbalance is going to be. So if this is all wood and a bit of leather, it might be quite a big, maybe even doubled. Bit of ornate scroll work or something like that. Okay. If you're planning on being all steel with a bit of leather or a bit of fabric around it, then perhaps this will only be that big. So that's up to you to decide. Of course, you're not actually making one, you're putting one in your book of shadows. So that will depend on you and what you want to do. If you're a very natural kind of witch, you might want it to be wood. You might want the whole thing to be wood. And then you base it on the same design as a steel one, because then it would balance. You might want, if you're more of a hard-edged witch, you might want the whole thing to be metal. Okay? You might want a very ornate end, which means you have to make your blade a bit longer. Entirely up to you, depends what you're drawing. Use your imagination. Like I said, this is not sit down, I must draw an athame in my book right now. This is play about with different ideas and see what you come up with. Okay, last step. Well, not quite the last step, but basically the last step. We're going to take 1/3 of these two wings and we're going to draw another triangle. These are your construction lines, okay? So I'll give you a second to catch up with that while I just have a drink of coffee. Feel free to ask questions if you want to. I will come back to the chat so that I can see if anybody's asking me questions. Oh, goodness me. Silver Screen Corn, hello. Do I know you by another name? I might do. Hi, Carol. I'm just having a little break for a second while everybody catches up. Like I said, these are just construction lines. So now what I'm going to do is, let's do easy sketch. Right, with your water soluble pen or pencil, we're going to ink in certain lines and not others, okay? So, our blade. Nice broad strokes, don't worry if they're absolutely straight, it doesn't matter. Our blade with our point. And this is kind of the dent, if that makes sense. What did I do with my... Seriously, I've lost my letter opener. I just had it in my hand, what the hell? Alright, spatula, here you go. What's this for? Well, we're drawing an Athame for our Book of Shadows, but, you know, use your imagination. It doesn't have to be an Athame for a Book of Shadows. It could be a kitchen knife for a recipe. It could be a Christian cross. It could be any number of things. It could be, I don't know. I came up with some ideas earlier and now I've forgotten them all, but just use your imagination for what it could be. What I'm doing it for is for a Book of Shadows, how to draw an Athame. And what I'm trying to do is to break it down into steps so that it's easy. That's okay. It will be available on record now that we're on live stream, so. Okay, so you've got this funny kind of flag looking shape, and you're also going to put in your centre line here down to your point. Don't put in the cross. Now we're going to go to the other end, and this is really up to you whether you decorate this, change it, make it look a little less structured. Entirely up to you. I would be tempted to create a counterbalance between this end, the handle, and this end, the blade. So this end is very sharp and straight, it's going to be shiny. You could make this one kind of shabby looking if you wanted to. So perhaps this end is rounded because that's made of wood. Maybe this end is wrapped with leather. See, it's just creating a variation. It doesn't have to be perfect. And again, this is for your book anyway. Even if you're doodling this in your journal, this is for your book. You know, you don't have to put this on the internet for everybody to see. Okay, now let's do the cross section. And I think for mine, what I'd quite like to do is create kind of a shaped centre, just for a bit of variety. So instead of drawing it straight across, I'm going to draw kind of a curved section there and a curved section there. I can then take this up, fill this in so that it goes all the way up. And then this section, this point, it could be a point, but it doesn't have to be. It could be anything you wanted it to be. It's just a guide to show you roughly how big that's going to be. So for instance, you could do something fancy like a triquetra on your handle. Like that. Isn't that pretty? Or you could have, what else could we put on that side? I know, let's have a, yeah, I like the triquetra actually. Make up your own mind. You can do anything you like on the other side. I'm doing a triquetra on mine. I like that. I think it's cool. But you could turn this into anything. It could be, it could just be like that. It could have a little bit on it at the end. It could be, you could have a crescent moon on either side. And then you can balance that with a crescent moon on this side. Okay. Once you know the formula, you can mess about with this as much as you like. And although we started with very precise construction lines, the basics of it is this bit is half the length and this bit is the other half of the length. And from there, whatever you do is going to be right. It's just making it look pretty at that point. So, how about we do a little crisscrossy wrapping here? So let's do a bit of a wrap cross kind of thing here. Like that. That just shows that, you know, one's bound to the other. You could get a bit fancy. You can add some ties on the end. You could add something ornate here, so it might have, well, I don't know, what could we do? How about because I'm gothic, innit? How about a skull? You know, you can do anything you want with it at this point. I'm not putting a skull on the end of it. That would be out of balance. But, you know, just for argument's sake, you could put a skull if you wanted to. Ah, Tracy's chat isn't showing. That's why she can't see me. Oh, Tracy can't see the chat. That's why it's not working. Or why she's not here. Playing hall monitor. Okay. So now we've done that bit. Why have we used a water-soluble pen? Wouldn't we normally use a non-water-soluble pen? Coffee. I'm glad you asked. Grab a bit of water and a brush, or a water brush, or whatever it is you happen to have to hand. Just a little bit, doesn't have to be a lot. Watch the magic. This is pyramid shaped. A knife like this would normally be flat on one side and pointy raised up on the other. So we want it to catch the light. So dampen your lines and bring the colour in. And there you go. Now this bit we want to catch the light. This bit we want to be not dark, but we want it to be shadowed. So just put in a little bit of line work like that. See, that gives the impression that our knife goes like that and that one side is catching the light and the other side isn't. Okay. How about, because I want kind of a dirty colour, a dirty, not dirty, but darker than bright is what I mean. I'm going to grab a little bit of, see this dark red paint I've got here. It's watercolour paint. You could use colour pencil or, you know, Inktense or whatever. Anything you've got. Even another Cleto, if you've got another one of these in a dark red, that would do. And I'm going to pop that into this bit where it's supposed to look like leather. Now, don't go straight over your lines. Do the same as you did here. You're wetting it around the outside and bringing the dark into the middle. And what you'll see is that you're basically creating a shadow with no effort whatsoever. And while it's still wet, I'm going to take some more of that dark red and I'm just going to pop a little bit more in a line across here where, if you imagine this is leather, you've been holding it in your hands a lot, it'll have a patina, won't it? It'll catch the light and it'll have darker staining. So that's what you've just done. You've added darker staining to the bits that stick up. Okay? I hope you're all still with me. My chat seems to have stopped scrolling. Now let's add a little bit of colour to our tassels. They're going to be the same because that's where this would be bound off. Now this time, only bring your brush down one side. That way you won't bring the colour into the middle, you'll just have it along one edge. Okay? And again, a little bit of colour. Only bring it down along that bottom edge. Ah, Carol's still here. Excellent. As long as there's one person still here, we're good. Tracy's still here too, so that's two. You can never tell when these things crash or not. Drag that colour out. Okay, thanks for joining us, Ina. We're not going to be on for too much longer, so you can always catch the end of the replay. Now with a clean dry brush, a clean damp brush, not wet, just damp, go over whatever it is you drew over here, just to spread out those lines a little bit. You want it to look kind of like it's embossed. You want to just give it a little bit of depth. You see? It's magic. Ha ha, get it? Don't worry if you get a bit too overzealous with your grey in there. We can go back in with white pencil if we need to. I'm going to drop some red into that cross here, the cross colours. I'm going to do the bit that's going to be red first, so that bit in the middle, and then I'm going to take it out, blend it in with that black so that the middle of it is red, and as it goes around it looks like it goes black. See? It gets darker as it wraps around. Same again for the crossbar. Bit of red, drop it in the middle, then blend it out into the black at the edge, like that. See how we're getting some depth into it now? Now these bits would probably be a little bit shadowed, but not too much. I'm imagining these bits as kind of being flattish or maybe scooped. So just this bit here would be a little bit shaded, I think. We can always do it a bit more if we think it needs it. So I'm just going to put a little bit of a shadow in here. I'm not using anything other than wetting my pen and a bit of water, okay? Just a little bit of a shadow. Pull some more pen out if you think you need it. I'm going to make the shadow kind of a half moon shape to give the impression that it's a scooped shape like that, coming up towards the triquetra. Now this bit at the bottom is not flat, okay? It's not flat like this. This is rounded. Think of a donut sideways on, okay? You've got your donut. There's your donut in your hand. There's the hole. There's your donut. That's what it looks like, okay? It's that shape, but it's rounded, okay? So where it's going round the corners, it's going to be darker. So let's do that first. We're going to get some more of our pen. You can always add more pen if you haven't got enough, but start off lightly. Bring that in a little bit. Then we're going to bring it in here a little bit. Then we're going to blend out this edge and this edge just to make it look a little bit more solid. Okay, so you've got a nice bright disc in the middle. Now, if this is metal, this is going to have shiny bits on it. So without doing anything additional to your brush, what we're going to do is we're going to draw a line like that and a very thin line next to it. Okay? See what that's done? It's given it the impression that it has a reflection. Bring this edge in until you think it looks about right. Maybe add another stripe over here somewhere if you think it needs it. And there you go. Now you've got a nice shiny pommel on the end. Nice big round silvery shiny pommel catching the light. Just like this is catching the light. Just like this is catching the light. Just like this bit is catching the light. Okay? And there you have an Athame. Now, at the moment your Athame is stuck somewhere in mid-air, isn't it? How do you give it form? You give it form by giving it a shadow. Now how you give it shadow is up to you. If it's lying flat on a table, so this is the top and this is the table, then you might want to do a shadow down here somewhere. So literally just going around one side of your knife, just like a drop shadow. Okay? What you can also do is give it some levitation. So let's do that. Let's put in a horizon line. There's the edge of our table. It already looks like it's got some levitation going on. And then let's put in a shadow. Now, this bit is closer to the table than this bit. So the rule is, if this bit is letting in more light, which it is because the gap's bigger, the shadow is going to be not as dark because there's more light. Okay? So little wispy bits here, coming down to more dense shadows down here. And then with your water, damp brush, doesn't have to be soaking, start at the clean end, a little bit more water than that, and just bring your shadow. This would work better on watercolour paper, but it doesn't matter. Again, it's an illustration, it's not a realistic drawing. Okay, so there's the length of our blade, and see how it now looks like it's coming down near the table at this end? Not so much light here, more light here. Now we've got a tang going across, but, is that the right word? Tang? Hilt? Can't remember. This bit is vertical, so it's not going to cast as much of a shadow, but it is thicker than this. So about here, it's going to be a bit wider. So how are we going to do that? Well, what we do is we scribble on our bit of paper somewhere, a scrap bit of paper, and we create ourselves a little watercolour palette. We pick up some ink, and somewhere in here we just add a suggestion of the crossbar. Remember, this is vertical, so it's not going to cast much of a shadow, but it's there. You can see it. It's kind of there. And then we're going to do the same for our leather straps. Now our leather straps are not as sturdy as our blade, so the blade has a nice straight solid shadow, but the leather straps just have dinky little watery kind of shadows. And now it does look like our Athame is kind of levitating against a table or something like that. Okay? Now you can tinker around with this again once it's dry. Leave it to dry completely. Once it's completely dry, you can go back in with the same pen, okay? And you can add further details. So perhaps you want to go back in, this will be dry now, it's been done for ages. Perhaps you want to go in and put some of these on this side as well. Perhaps you think it needs a little bit of something there to give it a bit of depth. Perhaps you think it needs a little bit more dark in there. Where your leather wrappings are. You could even come in here and do some cross hatching. Maybe darken up one of these. Just a tiny bit. Oops, might have gone too dark there. That's okay. Grab a bit of water on your brush, damp it a little bit again, blot it with a paper towel. Ta-da! We fixed that. If all else fails, you can go over it with a white pencil. But there you go. That is my little kind of demo. How to draw an Athame. And from that basic setup, you can go on to draw any kind of, like I said at the beginning, any kind of knife you want. You could do different designs. You could have, you know, if you just want to draw a letter opener, you could. If you want to draw a kitchen knife, you can. You could change your blade so that it's straight with a curve, or it's a sickled blade, or, you know, any number of things. Look on Google. Look for decorative handles and things and see which one looks like something you would want to use. Take your pencils, add a little bit more colour where you think it needs it. Get a little bit of mixed media going. That's actually a really nice red because it's an Inktense pencil. So I'm going to wet that because it comes up really bright. I'm only doing it where I've done the dark red earlier, just to make it pop just a tiny bit more. There you go. Voila! How to draw something that's vaguely cross-like shaped. Whether it be a cross or a crucifix or a dagger or a butter knife or a letter opener or an Athame or whatever else it is you want to draw. You may applaud. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording there, so thanks for joining me and look forward to seeing you again for one of these very soon. And the details of the books that I was talking about earlier that I didn't have in this bit of the stream, I will put down below. You can go and look them up on Amazon and have a look through them. Very good for this kind of thing.